If you want to radically transform your life and take your health to the next level, click on my Breath is Life course below. This will optimize your breath as well as your meditation. And I'll see you after the video. Hey guys, Troy Casey, Certified Health Nut. I made it. I'm in Sedona, Arizona. Many of you guys have reached out and asked me, hey, why did I leave California? Why did I leave Santa Monica? And, I made a video on my IGTV the day I left. You guys can go back to my Instagram and scroll back on that if you want to. For me, it was a very bittersweet experience because I've been on that beach for 25 years. I've been on the beach for 30 plus years of my adult life. And there's something very special, the iodine in the air and just the minerals and there's something special about the ocean and me, and I never thought I would leave. And I knew the quantum leap was coming, and I contemplated for many years when I was studying in the Mayan temples. We bought land in Vilcabamba, Ecuador, which is very similar to here, Sedona. It's 5,000 feet above sea level. It's got a growing season most of the year. Stable environment, protected from. Anyhow, so we looked at that a long time ago. This was 2008. We invested in property down there. Mike Adams did, and so did Raw Food World, Matt Monarch. Jacques Fresco from the Venus Project bought property in Vilcabamba at the same place we did. It's kind of a gringo development. And I think a lot of expats thought that they were going to move away and the problems would disappear. So when I decided to move to Sedona, I made sure I put my head in check and didn't have any false illusions. Wherever you go, there you are. And, you can run into similar problems anywhere you go. And so the biggest reason I left, and I'll tie this back into Ecuador and all that stuff, the biggest reason why I left is because I felt it was unsafe in my neighborhood. I put my family back together after a 2-year divorce and had a lot of success in my business. And we moved into the biggest apartment. We lived in apartments for, the 12 years we were together as a family. And there's nothing wrong with apartments. Very grateful, live close to the beach. The outdoors is mostly my living room. But again, it was apartment living. It wasn't cheap. How do I know that? Because I go out and shop in other areas, and it seems basically either half price or free. And so compared to Los Angeles prices. So we moved into a beautiful 3-bedroom house just before coronavirus started. Right after that happened, it was right near Santa Monica College. It's where I got all my theater training when I moved to Los Angeles. So it has a lot of nostalgia, that neighborhood. 2 weeks after coronavirus really settled in, I think the lockdown or quarantine, whatever you want to call it, happened. There was 2 halfway houses or loony bins or whatever, kind of like homeless / mentally ill / all doped up on pharmaceutical drugs kind of thing, and 40-ounce beers and cheap alcohol. And so as the lockdown settled in, the kind of riffraff and the drinking and the homelessness and the partying kind of went up, first and foremost. When the riots happened and they went through my neighborhood, a lot of the people parked in and around my neighborhood, and some of the businesses were looted. And I was living in front of a fast food restaurant, which had a drive-through. And those are the types, if you've ever seen riots, those are the type of standalone buildings that they smash and throw Molotov cocktails, and those are the ones that burned. And it was literally right in front of my house. The reason I mention that is because Los Angeles, especially Santa Monica, didn't have a lot of extra property for parking lots, right? It's pretty much all, commercial buildings or apartment buildings. And there it was. I was in a big fast food restaurant, and there was a parking lot in front of my house, which created a lot of activity. I saw when the BLM and Antifa kind of movement swept through Santa Monica. I saw a lot of cars of teenagers cruising through there, and they were lighting off some fireworks around 4th of July and stuff. But the buzz was there, and it was an empty parking lot, so people can do drug deals. And I saw the cops used to hang out there as well. And so it was kind of a hub. And there was an alleyway, and then there was a park down the street. And between the homeless buzz and then people being uptight and being in the city, and I'm a social person, and people starting to give me a hard time about the mask. The last 3 days I was there, we moved down to the beach. We moved down to the Marriott on Ocean Avenue. And the park that they redid for Santa Monica, my kids used to play there. It was overrun with encampment. Very dangerous. I felt it was very dangerous. And this comes from someone who grew up on the street. I lived in New York, I've lived in Tokyo, I've lived in Paris, I've lived, and I've lived in some dangerous sections. I lived in Alphabet City in New York in the 90s. So I know when things are temperamental, and I can handle myself, but when I start feeling nervous, it just wasn't a good thing. I got 2 small children, they're always with me. I also saw this young kid, he does martial arts, he's homeless, he's got a bit of a screw loose because I observed him for many years. He used to run up the street next to my house, and when I went to talk to him, he was just a little loony, so I knew he was a little crazy. So I've seen him over the years, but he trains every morning. Reminds me of like a black Bruce Lee, does some kung fu. That's how I know he was a little cuckoo, because I went up to ask him about his training, and nobody was home. So I saw him on the beach that weekend before I left, and he was ripping aluminum cans in half. And the way I say this is coronavirus really made the homeless and the have-nots a little bit more frisky, right? Less panhandling on the street, less people to get stuff from maybe. I don't know what it was, but definitely friskier. And when I saw him ripping aluminum cans on Muscle Beach, where I do Qigong and where other people do yoga and stuff like that, it seemed ominous and threatening. Not enough to really do something, but it was just like, hey, that's kind of weird. And then he was making these weird finger stuff to other people. So I just kept my eye on that. And I went to put my stuff on and get ready to go. And I watched him go over and pick up 3 tourists walk by, these blonde girls. And he picked one of them up, and she screamed. Luckily, they didn't know if he was, I don't know, they just kind of smoothed it over and it kind of went away. But I could have seen that going south fast. I mean, I didn't know if he had those aluminum can razor blades on him. I don't know, but that was just enough for me. And the parks being overrun, and the schools are closed, which drove my wife a little batty, trying to manage and mitigate all the children's activities for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours a day, for the last from March to June. It really messed with her head. And so my take is, if I got a homeschool, I'm gonna homeschool them. I'm just going to take them out into nature. They're going to be with me all day. But we haven't crossed that road yet. And she wanted to go on vacation, so we went to Sedona. We interviewed at the school, Waldorf School. Of course, we're complete Steiner people, and the director wants the school open, the kids outside, and no masks. We're like, okay, we're in. And so we just moved. And so luckily, I had the finances to do that now, and because we had just signed a lease. And I told my wife, we'll just set our intention, we'll pray to God, and the house will get rented. And sure enough, in a month it got rented. So my point is why did I leave California? Because basically, California turned into a shithole. And, I follow geopolitics. I don't follow local politics as much, but geopolitics and local politics are starting to get intertwined. And I found out some reconnaissance recently that, a lot of this drug cartel money, this MS-13, this money that's coming across the border is going to these smaller assembly people, these smaller mayors in Fresno, California, the breadbasket of the world, the vegetables of 7th largest economy in the world is California. So I saw what Garcetti did. I saw what Governor Newsom did. He closed down the beaches in California. How are you going to close down the beaches? The sun kills almost everything. Fresh air kills everything else. How are you going to close down the beaches and leave your winery open? That just didn't make sense to me. So, and then I just saw things get worse and worse. And Miami, mayor of L.A., fell in lockstep with Newsom. I think Newsom's up to no good. I think the Democrats. I'm not really a political guy. I'm kind of an apolitical geopolitics studier, and I just think that there's some dirty rats in politics, and they made the coronavirus political, and I think it's idiotic and unhealthy. All the nonsense that's being propagated out of the news media. I saw Lester Holt give a 7-minute fear porn dissertation on the NBC Nightly News. I watch some mainstream media as a journalist so I can report back to you guys. And I watched 7 minutes and 45 seconds of him fear-mongering about numbers and the mask and then this. And it was all blown out of proportion. I don't see body bags. I've been on this planet for 54 years. I drive past the hospitals every single day. There's nobody in them. Okay? As far as I can see, the numbers, the statistics are skewed. And so I think the fear porn that's being propagated out of the mainstream media is a crime against humanity. And I let Lester Holt know that at 7 a.m., my last day in Santa Monica. And I think he thought I was going to be a fan. And I let him know that I think that's bullshit. Everything that's coming out of the MSM right now, the mainstream media. So the official narrative for me seems pretty bunk. And I got a family to run. I got a business to run. I got a legacy to create. And so I got to stay fluid. And for right now, Arizona looks good for me. And I love that they put the Second Amendment. It's right up there with the First Amendment here in Arizona. And it's a little bit more conservative. So that's why I left Santa Monica. And not that the problems can't happen here. Problems can't happen nationally that affect us locally here. But at least I've got the grandfather rocks around me, and I've got the energy here, the vortex here, the powers here, the energies here. And so, and Sedona's beautiful. I mean, I could go into a whole dissertation of all the amazing and good things here. But why I left California is because it was dangerous. And if it's dangerous on that level, what they're going to do with medical freedom and medical mandates, other stuff like that, it looks like that might happen faster. I can probably strap on with some weapons and train myself real quick in the meantime. So that's it, guys. Peace on Earth is coming. We might have to crack some eggs to make a souffle. But peace on Earth is coming. Trust that. Hold the faith. And that's why I left Santa Monica. God bless.